Hi, it's Nina. Today in this video I wanted to share something a little bit different, but that still revolves around the farm. And so this year I wanted to document my garden and its growth through the months. I'm really bad about actually writing down in a journal what's working and what isn't. So what better way to remember what's going on than to show you guys a monthly garden tour, and I hope you enjoy this. Firstly, this year was the addition of finally a gate. Keep the dogs and the wayward rooster out, and if the goats get out or anything. And I just made this gate with supplies that I already had. Nothing too fancy. Pulled up all the grass and laid some wood chips down. And what I have going on this year, I expanded. I originally had this bed and these little planters. And I've grown quite a bit in here with just that amount. Usually I do tomatoes over here and beans and zucchini, but I've since added 2 more beds and a whole nother garden that we'll get to. So in this first bed, it's a semi-shady. Usually in this spot is where I have the zucchinis. And so that's what I have planted right now. Don't exactly know what variety. I'm not that much of a good gardener. But some of them have had a hard time since they got planted, and I've been pulling off the deader looking leaves. And they're getting some of this white kind of splotchiness on the leaves. So I read that I could add Epsom salt onto it. The unfortunate thing has been that we've had a lot of off and on rain, so it's been difficult to time it where it's not just going to get washed off, but I'll probably give them another Epsom salt bath today, as well as on my squash. And inside of this trellis I've got some garlic planted. I just did a couple just to test it out, and they were doing really well, so I added some more further down. And on the back I was growing some cucumber starts, and just about all of them have now about died off in this bed. So I put some more seeds down the other day, as well as some snap peas, which I was a little behind on, but I couldn't find any locally. So hopefully we can get some cucumbers going in here. I just used a couple of cattle panels that I had, and I put them together in a teepee fashion. I've read some really cool things about zucchinis on a trellis, and of course the cucumbers, so I'll be really interested to see how that goes. This bed I have pole beans planted in, and I have one that's taking off really well, and a few that bunnies before the gate was in, and looks like slugs have been in here to work on. So I'm probably gonna stick a couple more pole bean seeds into the ground, but the seed potatoes have really taken off, especially with all the rain that we've gotten. And these were a variety that a friend gave me. I think that they're russets, but we will see. Potatoes I usually do pretty well with. I just don't dedicate a large enough space for really a whole lot of storage. But they do pretty well, so I'm eager to see how this is going to work here. And speaking of the pole beans, we put a couple more cattle panels up, 16-footers that we had, for some trellising for hopefully the pole beans, and then something for the tomatoes to be on. So that's what's going on. Then this bed is some tomatoes of varying varieties. I really like doing Romas, but I couldn't find any Romas this year. I actually started with some small starts that I had purchased from someone locally. They were in the house for a while, hardened them off, and they all died after a couple weeks out here. And this is the bed that they are always in. And I added eggshells for calcium, but they didn't do well. So I ended up buying these from Wilco. And now they're doing pretty well. So hopefully they take. This was the last one of the small starts that I had bought from someone else that hasn't officially died off. And maybe it'll make a comeback. So we'll see. On the other side of the tomatoes, I scattered a bunch of carrot seeds, and they're starting to come through. And on the back, with another trellis, just one leaning against the fence here, I planted an acorn squash and some butternut. And one of these other ones is not doing well. But the butternut's doing okay, and these squash were looking kind of like the zucchini, so they've gotten a couple Epsom salt baths, and the leaves are looking a lot better on them from doing that. I had a couple of marigolds right here, and the bunnies got to it before I reinforced the fence. So I planted a few more seeds, and then I also put some chives in here, but nothing has germinated just yet. And in this bed, it's pretty much empty. I wanted to make this an asparagus bed, and I bought asparagus seeds from actually someone in Canada on Etsy, and they have yet to arrive. It's been like 3 weeks. But in the meantime, I have a couple of artichoke starts over here that something has gotten to. These have only been in the ground for about a week, and something has gotten to them. Hopefully they will recover okay. If anyone has any recommendations, then please send them my way. But I'm hoping that this will be a perennial bed. Over here I did plant some sunflower seeds, and it looks like after all this rain we're starting to get a little bit of germination. So I'm eager to see what comes through there. This little guy is just chilling here. It's a planter box I had, and I decided to throw some more lettuce in. I can't seem to grow lettuce for the life of me. And this was not in the garden. It was on my patio, and then the dog got into it. So what little bit of life might have been starting, he might have destroyed. The other fun thing going on in here, it's a little bit of lettuce germinating, but I planted some bush beans here. And in the last 2 days, this is what they're looking like. So I'm excited about that. I'm probably going to have to transplant a couple of them, but I was just hoping that they would end up germinating. And this little structure was some stairs for the old wood patio we had, the deck we had out back. And I wanted to save the steps and then have a way to do some vertical gardening here. I bought a couple of clematis plants that will hopefully grow over the arbor entry. And this purple one's doing pretty well. This one has not flowered yet. Right after I bought it, it started getting a little black and was not doing well. But it's actually starting to bounce back. I pulled off all of the black, and now this is all some new growth again. So we might not get flowers this year, but if it at least stays alive and grabs hold, it looks like it's a different variety, and that's why I saved the tags on him to see. So hopefully one day we'll have some pretty clematis up on this arbor. Just a little bit of zinnias in front of the chicken coop here. And these purple guys, they were growing in a pot that I repurposed for raspberries. I don't even know what they are, but they were too pretty to pull up and yank away, so I transplanted them into here, and they're actually taking well. I think they've been in here about a week. And I can't remember, I planted some other seeds of some type in here, and we'll see if they germinate. Sometimes the chickens, if they get out, get into this, and it's bad news. So this pot here is always kind of a crapshoot, but it's just one that I keep for flowers for outside the chicken coop. This is one of my favorite spots, right under these big established pear trees. They got pruned for the first time this last winter, and I was happy to see that they still have buds. They bloomed and now they're getting little pear starts on them. In this garden, I've planted some raspberries. First ones the goats got to before I put a fence up. So I have a couple new ones in here, and hopefully they take off okay. These are a couple of blueberries that I got. I did 2 in the ground and 1 in a pot. I kind of ran out of space on this one plot here. And I kind of wanted to run an experiment of what did better in pot or in ground. And after transplanting in here, it's been a little over a week. They are doing pretty well, which I'm happy with. The other thing that I got this year was a couple of bare root table grape, and this one I'm really happy is actually starting to bud and get some life on it. I don't know if the other one will come around or not, but if I'm able to have even one nice grapevine, I'd be really happy. Lastly in this garden is a pumpkin patch that I'm trying. I can't remember what varieties are in here. A couple of them have not survived the transplant very well. But this guy's doing pretty good, and I have it covered up in a tunnel here just in case the bunnies were able to get in, and these little starts could have a chance. But a couple of them have not taken very well. But I have an extra one over in the other garden, the main garden, that I can transplant out here if need be. And lastly, I have a few more raspberries that got started over here. I wanted again to experiment with having some contained, and I didn't want them to take over. And then in my new planter boxes, I'm trying some strawberries, but they're not holding moisture in here very well. So I've been having to water them quite a bit, but hopefully they will take